Hey everyone, Casey Scanlon here. Going to give you a quick Lake of the Ozarks fishing report. We're getting towards the end of February. The water temp is, about 40, 41, 42 degrees, the places that I've been this week. And the water clarity is really clear where I'm at. And, you got some stain to it throughout the lake, but overall, lake looks really good, and the fish are really biting. Crappie, bass are going nuts right now. Been throwing jerk baits, Alabama rig, and a jig mostly for the bass. And, they've been biting all three really well. Alabama rig, you want to use like 1/8 ounce, 3/16 ounce heads, small swim baits, stuff like that. And on the jerk bait, just alternate with colors. 10-pound Bass Pro Shops, XPS fluorocarbon, even 12 or 14 on that as well, just depending on how deep you want your jerk bait to go. But yeah, a variety of colors are working on that. On these really clear, slick days like we got right now, not a lot of wind, you probably want to use something a little more natural. If you get around some stained water, you're going to want to use something a little bit brighter, or if you get some clouds and wind, sometimes a little bit brighter jerk bait will get those bites. But as far as where the fish are at, they're around the bait fish. There's a lot of fish that are just roaming out there looking for bait. Look at points. They've been running some current lately, so look at the primary, secondary points. Go back in these coves, look at some of these steeper banks, and just look for shad on your electronics. I'm using my Garmin Electronics to just kind of idle around, get around some bait, and then fish the cover that's available. Whether the fish are out there floating around, whether they're in brush piles or relating to the points or channel banks in the creeks. You just really got to figure that out day to day. This is a great lake, and there's fish all over the place. So you can't really go wrong with where you're fishing at. You just kind of got to move around within those areas and try to find where the biggest population of them is. And it's usually around the bait. So when you get around some of these deeper banks, maybe the fish are real hunkered down in the brush piles, I like to pick up a jig. Cloudy days, when the fish are kind of relating to the bottom, a jig is always a good bet. Brown, green pumpkin, something natural, small trailer, and usually like 14 to 20 pound Bass Pro Shops XPS fluorocarbon on that, just depending on the cover you're fishing. This time of year, I like to go a little bit lighter on line size, but focus on some of those channel banks and things like that. We're getting some warmer weather, so more and more fish are going to keep pulling up. So between the jerk bait, the Alabama rig, and a jig, you should be able to cover quite a bit of water and run across some of these fish. We've got really warm weather this week, and these warm days just keep getting those fish moving up there, and it's going to warm up the water in a lot of areas throughout the lake. So the fishing should just get better. The fish are feeling like it's spring, and they're pretty active. So it's been fun this morning. Caught quite a few fish on a jerk bait, chased around some crappie a little bit. This is the time of year to come out here and really catch some crappies. Brush piles, a lot of big schools of fish that are just out in open water. You can see them on your Garmin live scope. There'll be big groups of them just sitting out there in the middle, floating like a bobber. Slip bobber works really good. Jerk bait's always my favorite because you can bass fish and crappie fish pretty much at the same time. When you see them, they're usually pretty eager to run over there and eat that jerk bait, so it's fun to catch those fish on live scope. Brush piles are always holding crappies. You just got to find the ones that got them in it. Usually there's bait around. And then bigger docks always got them. Bigger homeowner docks, sometimes these big community docks, the fish get around the edges of them. So use your side scan, use your 2D sonar, especially the Garmin live scope if you got it. Shine it under these docks and see which ones have the big groups of fish around them. There'll be a lot of fish around these docks, so usually you can find it on whatever sonar that you're using. Bobby Garland crappie jigs are always a really good bet. I really like the Bass Pro Shops tournament series crappie jigs. They're a little bit tougher They have a little bit better action in the tail. They don't get bent up. So try the Bass Pro version of that little Bobby Garland. It's just their I think it's called it's just a little shad shape, but it's a great lure. It's better for actually shooting docks. You can get up underneath there. Your bait doesn't slip down, but it's pretty much the same shape as a Bobby Garland, just a little bit tougher, a little bit better action, and I've had a lot more success with it. You don't have to fool with the bait as much, which is better, especially if you're shooting docks, which I like to do a lot of times. You know, when you make that perfect presentation, you don't have your bait fouled up on your line. So try that lure out. Crappie fishing's fantastic. Get out here if you have the chance. Bass fishing's just gonna get better every single day. It's gonna get better, and as the water warms up, we're gonna start seeing some other lures play. We got my Trophy Bass Company spinner bait right here next to me. That's gonna start working really well. And some crankbaits. The crankbait's probably already working right now. Anytime the water's in the 40s, you stand a chance of catching some crankbait fish. So especially on these nice days, you know, fish are wanting to pull up shallow. So if you get a chance to get to Lake of the Ozarks, come out here, do a little bit of fishing. It's just gonna get much better here, especially if we get some good weather like this. The next few weeks are gonna be phenomenal. I'm gonna be in town through this week and next, so if you're interested in a guide trip, want to go out here, catch some crappies, catch some bass, just give me a shout, leave me a message, and we'll go out and do that. So good luck to everybody if you're coming out here to the lake. Fish are biting, so you ought to have a good time. We'll talk to you at the next report.